Welcome back to Dad and Daughter Reads, a book club podcast. I'm James, your co-host, and this is episode 27. Today, we've reached the finale of Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, and we're covering the last section of the book. It's been an intense journey to get here, and we've got plenty to talk about as we unpack the ending and look back at the story as a whole. There is a quick correction. Last week, we said the break would be 2 weeks, but it's actually going to be 3 weeks. We're waiting on Katabasis to release on August 26th, and we'll return on September 6th. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Miranda, who's here to fill us in on her week and what she's been reading. Miranda?
Hello. Hello. I sound like Melania Trump. Do you know that meme?
No, I don't.
It's my favorite thing. She's on, like, Anderson Cooper's, like, interviewing them, like, her family or something. And in the middle of him talking, she just goes, hello. And he looks at her, and then the camera pans to her, and she's just, like, smiling. I'll have to send it to you. It's so funny. Anyway, I used that meme earlier this week, so maybe that's why I was thinking about it. Anyway, yeah, moving on from the Trumps, because he's been on one. My week was good this week. I think my week was good. I got my hair done last week. You can't super tell right now because I haven't washed it because I'm wearing a hat tonight because I'm going to a Yankees game tonight after this. I got my hair done and hung out with friends, and that's about it. Worked Sunday and Monday, but I did start reading. I started reading another book. I did. I started reading another book, which I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago, but Olga Dies Dreaming. It's the same author, and I cannot pronounce her first name, but her last name is Gonzalez. It was the same author who wrote that book that I read earlier this year, Anita DeMonte Has the Last Laugh.
Right.
And I really like her a lot. Like, her writing style is really good, and this book so far is pretty good. But basically, it's about this woman who is a wedding planner, but she's like super, super, super like wedding planner to rich people, like extravagant wedding planners. And she's from Brooklyn. Her family's Puerto Rican. And I guess her parents were like super socialist, pro Puerto Rican. In the 70s, I think they had like a group her parents were a part of. And so it kind of jumps back, and it's kind of jumping back and forth in time. And it kind of jumps perspectives too, because her brother's in it. And then this like guy she was seeing is also has a perspective. But it sounds like her mom, at least, is very disappointed in her profession because she's catering to white people, basically. But she's also really successful. And then her brother is a congressman in his district in New York, the district they grew up in. So it's a lot of like that, you know, social Puerto Rican, Latin American kind of discourse in the book. But so far it's really good. I don't know how many pages I'm in. Probably not even 100. But I like it. It's getting my attention. It's catching my attention, which is great. I'm hoping I can finish it soon because I have to start doing a lot now because I am moving in like 3 weeks.
Right.
3 weeks? 2 weeks? Something like that. 3 weeks, I think. So I really have to start gutting this apartment because I've lived in this apartment for 5 years. So who knows what kind of crap has collected over these 5 years of living here. I don't even know what's under my bed. So my first task, I think, is going to be like getting all of the literal trash out of here. You know, all the like papers and stuff that have piled up and clothes that just can't even be donated because they're all ratty. Just throw those away. So yeah, I'm starting to think about all of the things that I need to do in order to move. So I'm hoping I can get the book done by this week, and then hopefully it'll give me some more motivation to read, especially after I'm move to New Mexico, and I can read a lot while I'm there. Is the hope. But I have high hopes in this book. Yeah, that's about it. Other than that, just, focusing on starting to move my focus towards actually leaving. So I feel like the past 3 weeks since that I had that incident with my thumb, I've not been doing much because the first like week or so was healing, so I didn't want to do much. And it's also still, I mean, I still can't really like, there's still certain things I can't do. I can't like feel the tip of it.
Right.
And it's still like healing, so I don't want to like, do a bunch of crazy stuff because I don't want to rip it back off. That would suck. Right. So I feel like I got really lazy the past 3 weeks. I went back to the gym for the first time since I came back, or since before I left for Ireland today, which was nice because I've also been drinking a lot because I've been going out a lot with my friends. So I'm like, I need to get back into shape because I was in tip-top shape when I was in Ireland, and I was very excited to continue that when I got back. But instead, I ripped off my thumb. So I've been feeling pretty lazy the past 3 weeks because I didn't want to go to the gym with my thumb all messed up. So I didn't want it to get all sweaty and gross, and didn't want to knock it on things,
Right.
It was also really hot here when it happened. It was like in the 90s. So I just didn't want it to get all, it was nasty. But then I got really lazy and I feel out of shape. So I was happy to go back to the gym today. I think that's about it. I think that's all I have to say.
Okay.
How was your week?
I had a decent week. I mean, same old boring, just work. Didn't do much. I drank so Sonic has this pickle thing now. This Grillo pickle burger and tots, but they have this slush that's green, and they put the little like boba balls in it, and the boba balls have pickle juice in them.
Oh my god.
So I tried that because I like pickles. But it was I had one the other day and another one today just to see, because the first time it was like, okay, this is really weird, I'm not sure, it wasn't too bad. So then I had one today. Yeah, it got better. So it's a little sweet, and then you get a little hit of dill flavor and salt. So,
is the slush itself pickle flavored?
A little bit, yeah, but it's still really sweet.
Okay.
So then you got the pickle juice pops out the balls, and that makes it a little saltier. So it wasn't bad.
See, I love pickle things and I love pickle juice, but I don't like sweet pickles, so I don't think I would like that.
Oh yeah, maybe not then. Yeah. But you still get a lot of dill flavor to it. So
I don't like the dill with the sweet. I like sour. I want the whole thing to be a very sour experience.
Yeah, no, it's not that.
Yeah, so I don't think I would like it. Like, I'd drink just straight up pickle juice. In college, I used to do picklebacks. It was like a shot of Jameson and chase it with just like straight up pickle juice. I still do that. So
yeah, I had that. Let's see what else. That's about it. Reading wise, haven't read anything new as far as fiction goes. I did start reading a rule book for an RPG game called Daggerheart. That's about it as far as reading goes. But yesterday was Ava's this will be her first full week of going back to school. But today's Tuesday. The next 3 days I have to go to the office for work.
Oh.
So, and then tomorrow night we're going out to dinner afterwards with the people I work with. So it'll be a long night tomorrow night. So I probably won't get any reading done. But next week I'm hoping to start reading again and get out of my little slump here.
Right.
So yeah, that's about it. We're going to and then Thursday at work, we're having some kind of summer event at this like place where they do events. It's in Thompson Station, which is like out in the middle of nowhere. So, but I got to go to that. So, and then Friday I got to go back to the office. We're having a whole leadership meeting that day. So,
wow,
fun times.
Yeah, you hate that.
I don't like going to the office now.
Yeah,
that's the only part I don't like is going to the office. I don't mind the people I work with and talking to them and all that stuff, but just the actual having to go to the office, it's not fun.
Right.
Especially around here with the way the traffic is in the Nashville area. It's horrible.
Yeah. I'm sure it's even worse from when I was there.
Oh yeah, it's just gotten worse and worse. But yeah, that's about all I've done the last week or so.
Gotcha. Well, to keep a log for the next few weeks, since we won't be back for 3 weeks.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm gonna be in a whole new state.
Yeah, the next time we record, you'll be in New Mexico. So
That's crazy. That's pretty wild.
So yeah, but unfortunately, that book that we're gonna go on to next doesn't come out till the 26th, and I didn't want to as soon as it came out, I wanted to read it, so that's why I didn't want to start anything new in between there because I didn't think it would be enough time.
Right.
So.
Oh, I hope I get it in time.
I hope so. Let's see. We record on the 2nd.
On the 3rd.
3rd?
We've had this conversation like 3 times.
I don't remember stuff like that.
We've had this conversation so many times. Because last week, you were like, so we're recording on the 3rd, right?
I did? I said that?
And I was like, yeah, that was my idea.
Oh, yeah,
like,
it is the 3rd. Okay.
You were like, it was? I was like, yeah, because I'm moving on the 2nd. I'm like,
all right. Anyway, the point is, I have it written down here. I just don't remember everything.
Right.
The point is, the book comes out on the 26th, so that's a week before the 3rd.
Yeah, but if I pre-ordered it, will I get it on the 26th?
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
Or the 27th. One of those days you should get it.
Okay. Then hopefully that's fine.
Because usually most places, if you pre-order something, they'll usually ship it the day before. Like if it's next day, they usually ship it in time for you to get it the day it's supposed to come out.
Okay.
I don't know where you pre-ordered it from, but.
Well, hopefully that happens.
Yeah.
I'll let you know if it doesn't.
Okay. I mean, as long as you have it by the weekend, you should be fine, right?
Yeah, but I'm moving that.
That's true, yeah.
That time period. So there's not a lot of time.
Well, just let me know. If we have to push it off another week, we will, but it is what it is.
All right.
With that being said, let's move on to the finale. But first, let's get the recap from last week.
In last week's chapters, we jumped back into Charlotte's point of view, and Sabine and her are flirting at many balls as Sabine attempts to seduce her. After a few flashbacks, Jocelyn announcing her marriage to Charlotte's brother, and a proposal from George Preston, Charlotte runs to Sabine asking for freedom, and Sabine turns her. When she wakes from transforming, Sabine has brought George Preston to her to feed on, much to Charlotte's horror, though of course she succumbs through Sabine's manipulation. Sabine explains the rules of her new life, and for a while there, Charlotte questions what has been done and wonders the morality of it all, but eventually accepts her new life. Her and Sabine travel through Europe. Charlotte tries her best to only hunt evil men and expresses a few times her morality, which Sabine tends to dismiss and mock. Sabine has an episode where she seems to transform into a sinister entity as she relishes in the feeding of a child, and Charlotte runs off to Clement Hall where her old friend Jocelyn is still living, hearing her regrets. Charlotte returns back to Sabine, who makes her promise to never hurt her. Sabine takes Charlotte out for their anniversary where they meet Jack and Antonia. Feeling isolated, Charlotte jumps on an opportunity to go out with them, which Sabine later becomes very upset about. And 2 decades later, Sabine has another episode. Charlotte tries to kill her but can't because of her promise and runs to Jack and Antonia, who help her flee north and give her Ezra as a contact in Boston should she ever decide to go to America. Alice listens to the story throughout, anxious and annoyed by the storytelling. She has a panic attack, but Ezra encourages her to keep listening and tells her to remain hopeful for having a new sort of life.
All right, now that we've made it through that recap, we will start with a Charlotte section here. Chapter 1, Rome, Italy, 1953. Charlotte has been evading Sabine for 10 years. She befriends Giada, a free-spirited woman who loves food and models for artists. Charlotte asks if she can draw Giada. Chapter 2, Charlotte and Giada return to Charlotte's apartment where Charlotte begins drawing her. As she sketches, Charlotte shares her personal story with Giada. Afterward, Giada invites Charlotte to feed from her. Charlotte accepts, but carefully stops before killing Giada. The encounter culminates in an intimate connection between them. ... Chapter 3, Charlotte and Giada have grown close during their time together. Giada confesses she wants to become like Charlotte, a vampire. Charlotte refuses, explaining that her condition is a curse. Using her supernatural persuasion ability, Charlotte convinces Giada to abandon this desire for now. So, yeah, Giada had like no problems with Charlotte being a vampire.
Yeah, she didn't. Well, she's Italian.
Okay.
I don't know. It's like very gothic, like, you know, whatever. An Italian lesbian. Of course she's like, hell yeah, you're a vampire. That's hot. You know?
Okay. All right.
That's what I think about Italian lesbians, I guess.
Outside of my realm of knowledge, Italian lesbians. Chapter 4, 1959. So 6 years later, Charlotte and Giada have been together for 6 years. One day, Giada returns home with another woman. It's Sabine. Since Charlotte had laid claim to her apartment, Sabine cannot enter. Instead, Sabine breaks Giada's neck, killing her instantly. Charlotte, who had been cooking earlier, steps away to attend to something burning on the stove. When she returns to the door, Sabine has vanished.
Yeah. Well, we also have some parallels here with Alessandro and what were their names?
Matteo.
Which one was the vampire?
Matteo.
Was, right? Yeah. So Alessandro was the human.
Yeah.
Who didn't want to be turned into a vampire, but Matteo wanted him. So there's like a flip there. And Charlotte's very adamant about not damning this girl, which of course Sabine completely has always disagreed with, right? It's like frustrating to her that you wouldn't turn a lover into a vampire. So we have that coming back up here. I felt like Charlotte here was not upset enough about Giada dying or like Sabine snapping her neck right in front of her. I was underwhelmed by her underwhelming feelings toward the situation.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it. I guess because I feel like Charlotte's used to people dying, and she kind of figured, probably figured eventually Sabine was going to catch up to her and something was going to happen. I don't know. That's just a guess.
Well, that's still to me great. Like, this is where I started to feel like I don't know if I like Charlotte anymore. If I ever really did, but I was kind of like, it just seemed, and then the stove was burning, and so she just went to run and turn it off, and it just felt like she really just didn't have much remorse over Giada dying. Like, this partner she'd had for 6 years, they like lived together. She refused to fight for her, which I know she can't like hurt Sabine, but she didn't do hardly anything.
Yeah, I think she felt like there wasn't anything she could do.
I feel like there are things she could have tried to do. She didn't even try.
She's too scared of Sabine.
Yeah, but I just feel like she had no remorse over Giada. Like, she barely even. I feel like she didn't even grieve her. We didn't get that. She just like kind of left her there and left. Like, this was 6 years. Like, I'm assuming loved this woman. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't like that. I felt like, and even if it was like, well, Sabine was always going to come and kill you anyway, it's like, okay, which we kind of get into later. That's where I'm like, I don't know how much of a moral high ground Charlotte has anymore after that. I just didn't like her reaction, her lack of reaction.
Yeah, I can see that. It didn't bother me as much, but yeah.
Well, it's not that it bothered me. I just feel like it's telling of her character right now. Like, I feel like we had this idea of her, like we have this idea of her being this like morals,
having morals and stuff. Yeah.
Having higher morals, and also being a little more like wearing her heart on her sleeve, like being more emotional. And then this happens to to a lover that she's had for 6 years, and she barely reacts. So to me, it's like, do you actually love her, or was she just keeping your bed warm for 6 years?
But she has been alive for like 150 something years too.
Yeah, but still be upset if someone came and
she had to know that
neck in front of me.
Well, I think she was maybe accepting of the fact that Giada was going to die eventually because she's human.
And that is also, well, but eventually, but like in a human way. Your crazy ex-girlfriend just showed up and snapped her neck in front of you.
But that's normal shit for vampires, especially toxic lesbian ones.
Well, poor Giada who got caught up in that. That's what I'm saying. So even if she was like, oh, well, it's going to happen anyway, there's no thought for like Giada there.
No, I understand what you're saying. And yeah, there probably should have been.
Yeah. There's like no, like, oh, well, it's like she's selfish. I feel like that was where I started to see like, oh, Charlotte's actually also a little selfish and like.
Yeah. Cause we didn't really get any of that.
The lack of remorse.
Until something like this happened. Yeah.
Was crazy to me, like why do you not feel worse that your crazy ex-girlfriend just took a life that you refused to take because you believed like, I'm not going to damn you.
Yeah, I get it.
So I started to change my perspective of Charlotte right there.
Just going to get worse. Chapter 5. Charlotte travels to the U.S. in 1961. She finds Ezra in Boston, who tells her he will keep an ear out for Sabine and to call if she ever needs anything. Chapter 6, so we're going to cover an entire decade here from 1961 to 1969. Charlotte, still paranoid that Sabine will find her, calls Ezra a lot during this time, but Ezra has heard no sign of Sabine.
Also wish I knew what Sabine was doing during this time, too.
I guess she was probably following Charlotte.
Yeah, stalking her, but she was stalking her for a really long time. It would have been nice to, like, see that perspective.
Yeah. Chapter 7. So now we're looking at 1971 to 1979. Charlotte moves west, forming numerous casual relationships along the way. Soon, women she's been intimate with begin to disappear. Convinced that Sabine is responsible, Charlotte contacts Ezra, who reports no sightings and questions her certainty. While revisiting a location she shared with one of the missing women, Charlotte discovers a rose tied to a post. She then flies to San Francisco and spends more than a decade moving from city to city.
Also, going back to what I was saying, like, how did Sabine get over to America? Because she was always so, like, didn't want to cross seas. So I would have liked to have known that.
Well, I think at that point she could have just flown, which wouldn't have
She can fly?
Anything.
Oh.
Airplanes.
I was like, I missed something.
I mean, yeah, we had airplanes that could fly across the Atlantic by the 1960s.
Yeah, but I doubt she would have taken an airplane in the 60s. They weren't like that reliable.
I don't know. I think they were probably more reliable.
And also it was 1959 when she killed... Oh, that was in Italy. No, in the 60s, they weren't that, like, super reliable. They were still pretty new, and you had to be, like, rich to... Which, I mean, yeah, she's a vampire, whatever. But, I don't know. I don't know how she got there. It would have been nice to know how she got there. We never find out how she got there. Because it was, like, a whole thing. I'll never go to America.
Well, Nothing happened between 61 and 69. So maybe she didn't come until the late 60s, early 70s. Because women don't start disappearing that's with Charlotte until the 70s here. So she might have flown over in 1970.
Yeah, well, I would like to know what the process was of that. I think that would have been a cool thing to see. I'm just getting tired of Charlotte. Just like tired of Charlotte. I was like, I really loved Sabine and I loved Maria, the Maria Sabine story, and I liked her point of view better. And then now all of a sudden it's like, how did we get to this point, with Sabine? So I kind of am sad that I don't get more of that.
All right, moving on. Chapter 8, 1994, New York City. Charlotte meets Penny, and they begin a relationship. When Penny asks Charlotte to move in with her, Charlotte agrees. One night, Charlotte returns home to find Penny sitting awkwardly in bed, covered in blood. Initially thinking Sabine has killed her, Charlotte is horrified when Penny suddenly jerks upright, revealing the truth. Sabine has turned Penny into a vampire. Sabine did this knowing Charlotte views vampirism as a curse and refuses to transform her lovers. Penny told her that Sabine did it, so there is no denying it at this point. And then Charlotte kills Penny.
Yeah, what did you think about Charlotte killing Penny?
I mean, it's another thing where she's feeling kind of, or it feels like she's kind of selfish. Because, Penny is now a vampire, but she's alive.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think she should have killed her just because she feels that vampirism is a curse. I don't know. It seems kind of shitty to me.
Yeah. Crazy. And then again, just kind of feels like no remorse here. There was no,
Yeah.
she could have tried, you know? And then I also, at this point in the story too, was thinking, like, damn, she could have used her to kill Sabine.
Yeah.
Or like, she could be doing that. She could be doing that with a lot of different people. I just feel like, I just don't know what Charlotte's doing.
I think part of it is Charlotte doesn't know what Charlotte's doing either. I think she's lost.
It's just lonely and sad and codependent.
Yeah, because she doesn't have Sabine anymore. She's had Sabine for 100 and something years.
Yeah.
And she lost Sabine. And it wasn't, I mean, it's just what happened with Sabine and how she is and how she's losing herself because she's so old at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Charlotte is lost. She doesn't know what to do. All right, chapter 9, Charlotte calls Ezra. He tells her to be alone. Either these girls' lives matter more than your need for love, or they don't. Take them into your bed, but not your heart.
Yeah, Ezra's being the voice of reason here. Like, stop sleeping with all these women then, you dumb girl. Crazy. That's another thing, too, because I really was like, she's like, what do I do? And it's like, well, the obvious answer is just, learn to love yourself and be on your own journey and stop damning all of these other girls to your toxic ex-girlfriend.
Well, Ezra doesn't tell her that. He tells her you can sleep with him, but don't fall in love with him.
I know, which I also was disappointed in too, because I liked the first thing that he said. He was like, either these girls' lives matter more than your need for love or they don't. But then I think I think they both thought, even though that was crazy because all of those girls in the 70s, she didn't like have relationships with. She just like had little flings with, and Sabine still killed them all.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure about that either.
Yeah. But I was really frustrated with Charlotte because I was like, girl, you are so annoying. Like, just live your life. Live your vampire life. But she can't.
All right, chapter 10. Charlotte stays alone, only having one-night stands. This seems to stop the killings. She tells Alice she thought it stopped and Alice would be safe. And that brings us to the Alice section here. Chapter 1, Alice has a panic attack. Ezra gives her something to drink. She drinks it and seems to pass out. It was a very short chapter. Chapter 2, Alice dreams of a time when her sister ran away at 17. Lottie tells Alice she didn't kill her because she's tired of running from Sabine. Lottie believes Alice can kill Sabine and explains that since Alice is newly turned, killing Sabine would allow her to revert back to human form. So I found this plot device problematic. So, of course, I'm taking notes as I read this, so I don't know what's going to happen in the future. It contradicts established vampire lore, which the story itself acknowledges, and it feels like a convenient workaround that weakens the narrative.
Yeah, which for a second, I also was like that. And then, like, literally for a second, I was like, what? And then I was like, is she going to do something that's like they evolved over time or something? And then I was like, you know what? I don't like Charlotte anymore, and that's so bad that it has to be a lie. That bitch is lying to her.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even think of her lying to her about it.
No, I truly was like, actually, with all this other stuff I feel about Charlotte now, I'm like, I think she's lying to her. She's just like a big user. And even here, even though like I did say before, like, why doesn't she take this opportunity to use like her lover to kill Sabine? But she had been with Penny, like, they had a relationship, and then all of a sudden she's a vampire, and it's like, okay, let me explain to you something, my love. That was my toxic ex-girlfriend. She turned you into a vampire to get back at me, so now we're gonna get back at her. Versus this is like, oh, this girl that like accidentally got turned because of me, who's really freaking out and is super like confused and upset. I'm like, let me lie to her and use her to kill my crazy ex-girlfriend. And I did not like that.
All right, chapter 3.
And that's how I felt.
Yeah, I didn't even think about her lying, so I didn't really think of all that when I was reading it. Chapter 3, Lottie appears to have a strategy using Alice as bait to lure Sabine out. Alice drifts into thoughts about her sister Caddy, who frequently calls from various locations she's visited since running away. Lottie and Alice head to a club where they start dancing.
Yeah, this little section where she's thinking about Caddy was where I started to get a bad feeling about Caddy. Like, I was like, oh, I think something might have
I had that feeling a long time ago.
I think I did too. I just didn't want it to be true because that's so sad. Like your mom dies and your sister's gonna die too. That's really sad. But here was when I had to face the facts. I was like, oh, it's about to be. It's like this doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like it's gonna be a good ending for Caddy.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was coming eventually.
Yeah,
just because of the way she was running away and being with different people and boys and stuff. I figured something was going to end up killing her or something.
Yeah.
Drugs. I thought it would be drugs at first. But anyway, we'll figure it out later. Chapter 4. Lottie leaves Alice on the dance floor to quote unquote get a drink. While navigating through the crowd, Alice bumps into a girl exiting a room. The girl flirts with Alice, and Alice eventually drinks from her. She manages to stop before killing her. But suddenly, Sabine appears behind Alice. Sabine snaps the girl's neck and tells Alice they need to talk, then leads her away from the room.
And then again, just Charlotte just using people, not really caring about who gets caught in the crossfire. She like doesn't tell Alice like any part of the plan, which I do kind of understand on her end because she didn't want Alice to like give everything away to Sabine.
Right, because Alice can't control her thoughts.
Right.
And vampires can read thoughts, so her mind was wide open.
But still seemed so shitty to me, as I just feel so bad for like Alice in this situation because she's newly turned, and it's like, don't you remember what it was like when you were newly turned? And Alice doesn't have anybody guiding her because Charlotte's like barely guiding her into anything except using her to kill her ex-girlfriend. And then you put her in the like cage with the lion. I would have been so mad. I would have been so pissed. I might have not even killed Sabine. I would have made them kill each other. I'd have been like, you know what? This actually isn't my problem. You two need to figure this out.
Chapter 5. Sabine takes Alice to a lavish penthouse and informs her they're going to catch Charlotte. Alice attempts to weaken Sabine by slipping grave dirt from her locket into a glass of blood that she had prepared for Sabine. So basically, Sabine had this big thing of blood that she had made for Alice to drink from when she got her there, I guess. So anyway, the plan fails because Sabine only drinks blood directly from victims. Alice then asks Sabine to take a shower. While Alice is in the bathroom, she breaks the countertop and suddenly recalls receiving the phone call informing her of Caddy's death.
Yeah, which I just said what I said earlier. Like,
right.
Been feeling kind of like her sister is dead. Yeah. And I wasn't surprised that it was suicide. I was like pretty sure. And even with her calling from place to place, I even had a feeling I was like, I don't know if she's actually like doing that.
Right. Yeah, because when she was calling from place to place, she actually wasn't in those places.
She was like,
she was only like an hour away from their home, I think. But it wasn't drugs or suicide. She got hit by a car, of all things.
No, it was suicide. She walked in front of the car.
But we don't know if that's suicide or not.
The driver gave a police report and said she stepped right in front of my car.
Well, people do that all the time, and it's not suicide.
No, it was implied that she did it on purpose.
I didn't take that implication.
Because she says, like, and the driver had even said, like, she like walked right out in front of me, like she meant to do it or something.
Okay.
No, now I want to find the quote because I feel like you're gaslighting me.
I'm gaslighting you.
I
mean, I didn't get that implication for whatever reason, and people do just accidentally walk out into the road without looking.
But the police report was very much like it wasn't an accident.
Okay.
So.
While you look that up, I will continue with chapter 6. Chapter 6, this chapter opens at Caddy's burial with her family gathered at the graveside. Meanwhile, in the present, Alice hears Sabine removing her chainmail before joining her in the shower. Alice then stabs Sabine in the heart with the broken sliver of slate countertop, killing her.
I guess it just says Caddy, who according to the driver stepped right out in front of him. I think that's a pretty strong implication of she did it on purpose based off of the phone call she made to Alice. I think that's just very blatant subtext.
Okay.
That feels like 100% obvious to me personally, but
I'll go with 50-50.
okay. See, I feel like you're gaslighting me.
I'm not, though. I really didn't think of that.
That's
I
crazy.
just
Well, I
figured it
think
was an accident and she just walked out accidentally, didn't look like some people do, and got hit by a car.
no. Well, my thing is like an author's going to write these things for a purpose, and she called before and left this like really like sad voicemail. Like it's just context clues.
Yeah, it's possible.
All right, I'm done with this conversation.
Well, I just didn't think that. I'm sorry. I guess I missed it. My media literacy is not as good as yours.
Because I just think that's really important to the plot that her sister killed herself. Like that's very important to Alice's character.
It could be. Yeah, I can see that.
So I feel like when authors write things like that and they make it, because to me, it's like, what's the point of even writing that sentence if it wasn't that she did it on purpose?
Yeah. She could have also wrote that she hung herself. So that would have been much more letting us know that it was suicide.
Okay, but then also you don't want to be that obvious. Oh my gosh.
All right. Anyway, we'll move on. Sabine is dead.
Sabine is dead.
Which I don't know. I don't know if I like this. Sabine getting into the shower with her seems weird.
Well, Sabine was a lust-driven vampire.
Yeah, I guess.
She just wanted to have sex with her. Well, and also it's a form of manipulation, right? Like sex is power.
Right.
Type of deal. Because she had already been kind of flirting with her, and it's just a way to like get her attached to her, right? Taking control over her in that way.
And also hurting Charlotte, probably.
And hurting Charlotte and the like seduction of it all. And
yep. All right. Chapter 7. Lottie arrives at the penthouse. Alice discovers she won't return to human form. Lottie had lied to her. Alice notices the silver brush that Lottie used to kill Penny sitting in Alice's bag. Alice suspects Lottie plans to kill her next. When Lottie drinks the blood tainted with the grave dirt, it weakens her. Seizing the opportunity, Alice grabs the brush and kills Lottie. And that's some damn toxic lesbian shit right there.
It sure is. I liked a lot. I'm just remembering now how I liked how well written that was. I liked that was going, like the way that Alice was having those thoughts in her head, how that was narrated. I don't know if you remember, but she was saying like, I didn't stop her when she drank the grave dirt.
Right.
And then all of a sudden this, and then this. And I really got that feeling of Alice feeling super numb in that moment, which is why I also think that Charlotte probably didn't really suspect anything from Alice because she was feeling so numb because all this stuff just happened. She just got used. She got lied to by this vampire woman who used her to kill her ex. And she's just like sitting there like, now what do I do? And then she comes in. So I really liked how that happened because I feel like she was just so shut down that all of this was happening and she was so numb to it that Charlotte didn't even like hear that it was happening in her brain, you know what I mean, in her mind. And that's how she was able to kind of get away with that. But honestly, yeah, I mean, thank God Alice here ended this horrible toxic cycle. Because at first, I mean, I at least really did feel for Charlotte when she was turned by Sabine and was involved in this toxic thing with Sabine for so long and was kept isolated and all of this. But I stopped feeling bad for her in these last chapters because she was just as manipulative, I think, as Sabine was, just in a more like emotional way. And I think she was just as selfish as Sabine was. They're just like in two different ways. Sabine never really had a lot of morality to begin with, and so that's kind of what ate her as a vampire, versus Charlotte was so emotional and so like codependent that's what ended up kind of being her demise in the end. And then I was super impressed when Alice killed her. I was like, go Alice. Good for you.
Yeah, that was pretty surprising.
Yeah.
That she did that. So yeah.
She was like, fuck this shit. I also would have been like, fuck this shit. Which now I'm thinking like, I guess Alice did have hope that when she killed Sabine, she would turn back to a human. So that's why she didn't have them kill each other. But I think if
Oh,
that
right,
hadn't
because
been a
Charlotte had
thing,
lied to her. Yeah.
yeah, I think if that hadn't been a thing, it honestly would have been fun though. I wish that there had been like a head to head with Charlotte and Sabine, because there really wasn't one, which I understand why, because she couldn't hurt her or whatever, but there wasn't, I don't know, I just feel like there wasn't enough closure in that for me. I wish I had had more of like being like tormenting Charlotte and seeing it like happen
Right, because the last
with
time
the
they were
three of them.
actually the last time they actually saw each other was when Sabine killed Giada, which was like in the 50s.
Right. I think it could have been much more of a dramatic thing had the three of them all been in one place at the same time while it happened, you know? So I
Yeah.
was missing the drama. I was missing the drama. I kind of wish that I had more lead up to Sabine becoming as demented as she was, because I feel like we didn't get a lot of that because we were seeing it from Charlotte's point of view, and Sabine was so old she was keeping a lot of it from her. And I wish that there had been more of a head to head with like the three of them. I wish there could have been a scene where all three of them were kind of in this power struggle with each other.
Right. Yeah, because all three of them were never together at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah. So that kind of bummed me out. Like, I feel like the ending, like, I was happy and I understand why the author chose to do what she did, but it felt a little flat to me.
Mm.
Like, it could have been more exciting. I wanted it to be more exciting, especially since it's a vampire book. And I was so into Sabine Maria's story. And it felt more of like I was getting a lot more vampire lore and vampire things, and her, you know, going through this struggle of like this power struggle with other vampires she'd meet along the way. And then when she got to Charlotte, it was just the two of them the whole time. And I was just kind of like, okay, it's kind of boring. Right. More like vampire. Now it's like toxic lesbian relationship and not cool vampire stuff. And then I didn't even get like a cool vampire fight at the end.
Right.
Because we could have brought back all these other characters too. I mean, you know, Mateo went to America, and
yeah,
who
where's
knows
he
what
at?
happened to him? And where was Ezra this whole time? Why couldn't Ezra come and help Alice kill Sabine?
Right.
Jack and Antonia, where did they go? You know, we didn't get that. We could have gotten use from all these other vampire characters too that we didn't get to have at the end. So yeah, so I just kind of felt like there was a lot that could have been done with that ending and the way that Sabine died, and I feel like we went for like one of the boring ways to do it, personally.
Yeah, the killing of Sabine was kind of lame to me, but then I like the way she killed Charlotte. So with the whole letting her drink the blood that had the dirt in it and all that stuff was kind of good.
Yeah, it made up for it a little bit. I did like that too. But I think it would have been cooler had we had a cooler Sabine death and then that happened after the aftermath. Like, then Charlotte like sits down and she's like, finally drinks the grave dirt, and it turns out Alice is like, yeah, fuck you too, bitch.
All right.
That's what I would have said while she was choking on grave dirt. If I was Alice.
All right. Remind me to never piss you off. All right, chapter 8. Alice listens to a voice message Caddy had left her for her years ago. Her father calls, and she talks to him as she walks back to campus. She is alive, starting a new life as a vampire, and she is hungry.
And I love that for her. I love that. Now she can like go and travel, and she knows better now, and at least she won't do the same toxic things that Charlotte and Sabine did. She can actually like live a decent life. Like Mateo. I mean, Mateo was living a pretty good life.
Right.
Like, it really could be that easy. It could be that simple.
Who knows? Maybe Schwab will continue the story since Alice is still alive. Who knows?
I don't think we need that.
Probably not. I don't think she will either.
I like that it's up in the air. I like that it's like, okay, now Alice is like going to like be this new Alice. You know, she's new Alice now, and how that's gonna work out for her.
There's lots of other openings she could take too. She could write a whole novel about Mateo coming to America. Who knows?
If I got turned into a vampire, would you want me to tell you?
I mean, I don't know. I guess.
Would you believe me?
No. All right. I don't believe in supernatural stuff.
Right. All right. Well, I just won't tell you. And then if I get turned into a vampire, and in like 40 years, you're like, why do you still look like you did when you were 29? be like, well, I don't know. You don't believe in the supernatural, so.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. All right, so my assessment of the book. So I've always enjoyed vampire stories, Salem's Lot, Interview with the Vampire, What We Do in the Shadows. I love the lore, the elegance, and the danger they carry. Schwab nails that balance here. The vampire mythology is rich, and Maria Sabine's haughty, self-absorbed nature calls to mind characters like Lestat from Interview with the Vampire and Strahd, which comes from D&D. They're very formidable, self-serving, and utterly detached from anything beyond their own desires. But beyond the fangs and the gothic atmosphere, this novel delves deeper into exploring the quiet toxicity of relationships, the long shadow of past trauma, and the struggle for self-identity, which we see a lot of that in both Charlotte and Alice, but mostly in Alice, I think, with her stories about her sister and stuff. But like many great vampire stories, it's fundamentally about death, mortality, and grief, and it's about loving someone who can't stop running toward their own destruction. Schwab's writing is excellent. The pacing flows smoothly, and each section pulled me in so completely that I didn't want to stop reading. Still, something about the story lost momentum for me once Sabine and Charlotte's tale caught up to the present. I can't pinpoint exactly why, but the spark dimmed a little toward the end, which I think is something you were talking about, once we got away from more of Sabine's stories and into Charlotte's story, it kind of went downhill for you as well.
Yeah.
But even so, it's a beautifully written, well-plotted novel that I truly enjoyed. I'd give it 4 stars for its sharp prose, compelling characters, and immersive vampire lore. If you're hungering for toxic lesbian vampires, then you have to pick this one up. I don't know anyone that's hungering for toxic lesbian vampires, but if I did, I would definitely recommend this.
Right. All right. So my final assessment. So let's just say I'm really happy this book was a vampire book, because if it wasn't, I probably would not have liked it. Mostly because of my disdain for romance novels in general. The vampire lore was really fun and interesting, and it's used to encompass the ideas of it through 3 different female characters was very thoughtful. I believe that these qualities that you described, Dad, that Sabine had that amplified her human nature and led to her downfall, Charlotte also had, but were represented from a point of passion and emotion that she thought gave her the moral high ground, but in the end also led to her ultimate destruction. I also enjoyed the commentary of what it means to have freedom and to be alive through desire and also through Alice's grief. I do agree that Schwab's writing is really good, and the first few weeks of reading, I was pretty sad to put the book down between sections. But yes, it did lose momentum for me as well in the end. I think Charlotte's story just didn't keep me as interested as Maria/Sabine's, because it was more focused on relationships and, albeit toxic, love, and less about vampire lore. I wish Sabine's character had more room to grow into a more dynamic and sinister villain, and I wish there was more use of the other characters we were introduced to throughout the story. The book just missed the mark of a 4-star rating for me, just because I was disappointed and unsatisfied with the ending, but I can't deny it was a well-written book, so I'm going 3.95.
3.95.
I didn't want to give it a 4. I just couldn't give it a full 4.
Well, you just say 3.75, not 95. Get that 0.5 out of here.
Okay, whatever. But I know exactly a few people who I'm recommending this book to that I know would just absolutely devour it. And I do appreciate it for everything that it is. Like, I like, I understand the message she was trying to portray, and I liked how she did it. It feels very much like a lesbian book.
See, I wouldn't know that, because I don't know a lot about lesbians. So
sure. I think just like as a, like, it feels like it was a book written for women. Or like, and specifically lesbian women, just very like yearning and all of this stuff, love and toxicity and everything that could come with it. But I wish it had been a little more exciting in the end. But I appreciate what the author did. Like, it's just cool to read good books by LGBTQ authors writing about the LGBTQ experience in a cool, fun way with a twist.
I think V. Schwab is lesbian or bi. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Queer in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, right.
So it's cool to read books like that are good and that do have this interesting twist to them, like vampire story and stuff, without it being something like Twilight. Like this was a smart like vampire book.
Right. Yeah. Well, I enjoyed the book, and even though I don't know a lot about the lesbian community or whatnot, I still enjoyed it as a middle-aged white man. Isn't that really unbelievable for probably most people?
Well, yeah, and I guess that's also my point is that you were still also able to enjoy it as well, because it was pretty well written. Like it didn't feel like, yes, it was written for women from a woman perspective, but not in a way that was isolating to the reader.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is probably hard to do. I don't know. I would imagine.
I feel like, yeah. Which I think that's why having the vampire twist on it gave it that edge. Because it's like, oh, like.
It could be, because I really do like vampire stuff. So.
All kinds of people love vampires. Yeah, because if you had taken the vampire part out of this book, it would have just been a book about a toxic lesbian relationships.
Right.
And I would not have been interested in that.
Gotcha.
Personally. But I think that's what made it, that's what makes it cool.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully everyone else out there that has read it enjoyed it at least as much as we did.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely I might even bring it to the game tonight because I think one of my friends would really like this book. So.
Oh, okay.
So yes, so it is a book that I'm like, yes, this is a good book, and I would recommend it to other people.
Yes, well, I was told during our last work book club meeting I need to read more romance books.
Oh, interesting.
Apparently.
Well, okay, well, this was romance, and our next book is a romance book too.
You're right, it is.
So there you go.
So, yeah.
I only like romance novels if they're the B plot, and I think, or like they're a B or C plot. I don't like when they're the A plot, and I think that's why in the beginning of this book I was like, okay, I like this a lot because there wasn't a whole lot of like romance in the first part of it. But then once we got to the romance, even though it was toxic, still there, I lost interest. Once it became kind of like an A plot, I was like, I don't really care about like Sabine and Charlotte's relationship, TBH.
Right.
It's kind of like Alice. I was like, I don't really care. I want you to tell me why the fuck I'm a vampire and how I can fix this. That's it for this week's episode of Dad and Daughter Reads, a book club podcast. And that's a wrap on Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by B.E. Schwab. Thanks for reading along with us and sticking through to the end. We're taking a 3-week break, but we'll be back on September 6th with our next book, Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. We can't wait to dive into that one, so grab a copy and get ready to join the conversation. In the meantime, you can find us on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and in our Discord. All the links are in the show notes. Thanks for listening and happy reading.
Our intro music is Upbeat Funk, performed by Mikhail Smusev, and our outro music is Lo-Fi Chill, medium version, performed by Bodan Kuzmin. You can find both tracks on pixabay.com. Thanks for joining us, family, and we'll see you next week.